welcome to the show tonight. We're actually recording live tonight at a live networking event. This is the Dallas Real Estate Society networking event here at the Derby Restaurant inside the Shop Club here in Dallas. And if you don't know about the Shop Club, it's a premier automotive storage facility with a private membership club, restaurant, bar, cigar lounge, business center. It's a beautiful place. We've gotten fortunate enough that we get to have our event here, and I actually have the event coordinator here with me. This is the High Performers Podcast, and we're going to get started talking right now with George Handley. George, thank you for coming in. You're actually the co-host of tonight's event. Let's talk about how did y'all get started deciding to have this kind of event, and how did the idea come around?
Absolutely. Thanks for inviting me. And Sarah and I, we originally had this idea a couple of months back. Actually, I think you were the one that gave us the idea to kind of collaborate and use our networks to work together. And so about 4 or 5 months ago, we just kind of sat down, had a conversation, and said, let's do it. So we both decided, hey, there are so many companies out there that they want to increase their brand awareness. They want to be able to have events, but all too often, life happens, their jobs happen, and they're not able to sit down and actually do the work that goes into planning an event. So we were like, hey, we'll take that burden off of them. We'll be able to get some sponsors and some co-hosts, and we've been doing that now for the past 4 months, and it's been a great time. It's really just a relationship-based networking idea. We really want people to be able to come and be able to meet each other, build a relationship, and ultimately we really want people to be able to follow up with each other and be able to meet for those phone calls, those Zooms, those one-on-ones, whatever the case is, and just get to know each other better and how they can work together.
Excellent. So this is the High Performers Podcast. We've talked about that before. So let's get right into it and start talking about, let's just talk about that word. First off, what does that word mean to you? High performance.
Absolutely. So when I think of high performance, the first thing that comes to mind is like an RPM gauge on a car. High performance means going into that red zone. It means really putting in the effort and the work and the drive to put yourself in the best possible position. You want to make sure that you're performing at your best caliber no matter what. And so high performance to me means, drive, motivation, skill, and that's kind of what first comes to mind when I hear that word.
I really like that. Most of the time, whenever we talk about it, we're in business or we're in sports or we're doing something high performance with our life. I love the fact that you put it into cars because we're here at the place with the cars.
Yes.
And you're exactly right. When you're pushing into that red zone and you're really pushing for that extra, only high performance vehicles can go at that speed, can go at that kind of level, and can keep going at that level. So let's talk about that a little bit. With high performance vehicles, it takes a ton of maintenance and it takes a ton of planning and engineering to get those vehicles to be like that. What are some things that you've done? And also you work with a lot of other high performance individuals in your field, being in banking and in business development. So what are some of the habits, the mindsets, maybe some of the books? What are some of the things you've observed or some of the practices you've used to stay in a high performance situation?
That's a great question. And honestly, I feel like to everyone it's a little bit different. But for me, it really comes to prioritizing. So being able to be a high performer, you have to know what's going to have the best ROI, what's going to have the best results. You want to be able to focus on what's most important to you. I think a great example of this is like an ER doctor in the hospital. Every situation that comes into them is, in fact, an emergency by definition. And, the one person in the world that's never going to tell you that they are overwhelmed or so busy are doctors, and that's because they triage. They are taught from day one to prioritize. There's and I'm not a doctor, so I cannot say this correctly, but there's different zones to the levels of importance, and they treat those patients in accordance with that. So being a high performer, you're able to strategize, you're able to realize what is most important, what needs to be accomplished right now versus what can be put on the back burner for a little bit later on, because those are going to be what makes you different from your competitors. the competitors are going to be getting flustered at every single notification, every single email that comes across their screen, and being able to distinguish, okay, this is a real priority. This is what I need to focus my attention on versus, oh my gosh, I just got an email from somebody about, something due in a month. It changes the mindset. It changes um, the goals, and that really is to me what is most important to a high performer. And that's just one of many different skills that someone with high performance needs to have.
I love it. See, I talk all the time about focus, but focus gets kind of wasted if you're not doing exactly what you said and lining up those priorities. You kind of lose, what am I focused on? I'm focused on my goal, but there are steps along the way. So focusing on each single step, you can achieve anything, but you won't achieve everything. You have to focus on each specific one. It'll take you forever and you'll barely do very well at it. You really said it. I love that. Let's move into talking about what you're up to these days. Let's talk about whenever you in the past were working on being high performance, working in your career. You can talk about your personal life or anything that you were working on specifically. How did you put that focus and that prioritization into effect for you, and how did it turn out? Or if you want also, you can talk about how you didn't do it right and what you learned from how it turned out.
That's a great question, and there's a lot to be learned from mistakes. I believe that every opportunity is a learning opportunity, whether that's small or big, doesn't matter. But there's always an opportunity to learn. Something that I've used in the past, prioritization, of course, is most important to me. But some other things that I've really put into effect recently, and this ties back to my new transition to banking. You're always told the adage that bankers wake up early, right? And for me, that's really challenging because I'm a night owl. I like to wake up late, and so these past couple of months, I've really been trying to adapt to the banking lifestyle and being able to wake up earlier. And there's a reason that bankers do that. It's because they all are on the same mindset to get things done soon, like first thing in the morning, and get it done fast. And being able to adapt that mindset has given me so much, and I'm going to use the word power. It's given me so much power, and that is the ability to have a few hours where the rest of the world is still sleeping, and I am able to knock out those items that people save for the end of the day. I'm able to really be creative and energized in what I'm going to be doing for the rest of the day, how I'm going to plan out that day. And that has really been something that I would say has really changed my performance. Is just being able to be the early bird that gets the worm, and being able to position myself in a way that makes me more adaptable or more eager and ready to go for the day versus what I was before, where I really enjoyed sleeping in and waking up a little bit later and going to bed later, because you can do a little bit more with the hours in the morning than you can with the hours at night, in my opinion.
That has been a key for me. Exactly what you just talked about, getting up and getting started first thing in the morning. I heard a bunch of gurus and a bunch of speeches, and it's all in a bunch of books. And I kept hearing it. And I remember from my time in the military that was part of it. You get up early, you get started, you have routines and certain things you do in the morning. And whenever I started doing that in my own life, it made dramatic changes. So let's go to talking about you being in banking. So you've been in business development for how long?
Business development for a little over 2 years now.
And then now you've moved into banking, and you're talking about the banker's lifestyle. I mean, we're in the place for it. We're in Dallas. You got the Dallas Bankers Club. This is a big hub for capital, and especially moving into the next kind of cycle that we're going through. There's tons of capital flowing in. What is it? The most family offices started since 2020 has been in Texas, and I would venture a guess that a ton of those are here in Dallas. So you being in banking, let's talk about what you're up to now. What is your career path now?
So right now I'm with a firm called Midwest Regional Bank. We're just a small regional bank that focuses only on SBA loans. So I'm really getting to work with a lot of those business owners that are like maybe small business or lower middle market that maybe haven't been able to acquire the conventional loans, and they're looking for a way to bridge the gap between that small business and getting to be an enterprise. So I'm getting to work a lot with, like right now, I work a lot with like health and fitness. That's something that's really a passion for me. And coming from Florida, I have a lot of contacts there that I've been able to get some clients with so far, and that's been really rewarding. Here in Dallas, I have everything from like I've been helping people with car washes acquire some other small like mom and pop car washes with their funding. One that I got today that came across my desk that I'm really excited for is it's a food truck. They fabricate food trucks for nonprofits in the Dallas area, and that's just been really something that I take very personally because it's an altruistic model. They are providing a service, but at the same time, it's catering to nonprofits, so like industries that really are vulnerable and really need that assistance. And so it's really fun just being able to work with business owners that have all of these different ideas and be able to take what they have created and what they have learned and be able to assess myself and say, oh my gosh, like one day when I grow up, that's the business I want to go into, or oh, that was the business I was thinking of, and now that I'm watching the numbers and watching the lifestyle, maybe that's something I don't want to go into. But it's so much fun being able to work with people that are really wanting growth and really energetic, and they're ready to go, and that's where I'm at. That's what I'm loving, and yeah.
And you're an excellent person to be guiding those either new or growing business owners as they go get a SBA 7A loan, which is what your bank focuses on. Tell me again, it's Midwestern Regional Bank.
Midwest Regional Bank.
Midwest Regional Bank. And tell people how to get in touch with you. What are some of your socials?
So LinkedIn is my big go-to, and of course you can just find me on that, George Handley. The easiest way to get a hold of me, not gonna lie, is by text. I have my phone on me all the time. My cell phone is my go-to. I have an office line, but text is tried and true. I will see that. I will respond. And so, my phone number's online. My email I will provide in the link to this as well. Reach out. Ask me any questions. If I can't help you, I probably know somebody that can. I'm always here to be someone to listen to where your gaps are in your business and try and help you the best I can.
Excellent. So now you've recently, since you started banking recently, you've had like a hockey stick of learning curve. Like you've had to just cram in a ton of learning on what's essentially a new field, even though you've been in the field already. It's essentially a new role in the field. So let's talk about how you either buckled down or how you focused. What was it that you were able to do to get a high performance result? Because you've already moved up, you're already closing deals. You already got deals coming through the door, and it's fairly new for you. So let's talk about what you did to skill up and get yourself to the level that you're at now.
I wish I could take credit for that, but honestly, I really think it comes to the people that you have in your life. I got into banking through the organizations that I'm a part of. I was, headhunted by the firm, and really just I fell in love with the culture. I fell in love with the job itself, and I really had someone there that was looking out for me, and still have that individual in the office, and we're peers and we work together doing the same thing, but having somebody there to be able to help guide you and say and be able to not spoon feed the answers by any means, because my coworkers very much like, oh, you have to think about the process, think about the end goal, try and get to the answer on yourself and by yourself, and if you can't, then fall back on him. But having those relationships, building those relationships, and structuring them in a way that's going to position myself in a way to get to the end goal is really the way I've been able to learn and be able to absorb so much information at one time, because it is a lot. And switching over to, like you said, it's practically a new field for the most part. It is a lot, and it's a lot to be absorbed, but at the same time, when you have the people that you need in your court, they're there for you, they look out for you, and they want you to succeed. So it's all about who you know.
Excellent. I love that part. It's about being prepared and having those people in your life that are keeping you prepared. Love that. So let's wrap it up with the last question. This is the same last question I ask everybody. Let's imagine for a minute this is your last appearance on Earth. No one's ever going to hear from you again, and you get to speak to the world, and you get to look right there and talk to these folks. What does George Handley have to say as your message that you'd like to pass on to the world?
After some thought, a brief moment, I've decided I want to say that life is short. Live life, you do you, and everything will work out.
I love it. Thank you, George.